Hello, all. This is Pranav VK, the CEO and founder of the Intraday Expert. And today we have with us Mr. Hari Ramachandran. He's been working for the last 17 years in different companies. And he joined us in January of 2023. And right now he's doing full time trading. And let's look at his results, his journey, and understand what is possible with trading. So, welcome to this call, Hari.
Thanks, Pranav. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a ride. I think the market has been going one way, and I think we have also been going in the same direction with our sets of ups and downs. And but yeah, overall, it's been a pretty good ride so far. And just waiting for the mother of all events, which is the election results, to go through, and can peacefully start trading again after that. And I think, like you mentioned, it's about. Right from the beginning, that's what you've been telling us, that if you get your psychology right and if you get your fundamentals right, no matter the setback, you'll actually find a way to come out of it right.
Correct.
I've had my share of uh, you know big losses, but I've actually found my way to come out of that. And today I probably filled it with respect to my trading experience. In fact, I think it would be better if I actually share and show that to you with respect to where I am as on date with respect to my returns. You see all these big reds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen this big drawdowns as well, and I've seen this big draw ups as well. And yeah, like my P&L tells you, this is starting the 1st of April last year. That's when I actually started my journey with options. And since then till today, I've actually managed to realize uh, gains of about 3 lakhs plus.
Awesome.
And
Congratulations on this milestone. This is a great
thank you.
for you coming in as a beginner, not knowing what stock market.
Oh yeah, forget about options. I did not know what equity was. The only exposure that I had before this was, I kind of knew that COVID cannot make good companies go flat and phase out.
Mhm.
So I invested in some blue chip stocks during COVID. The bottom, and today that portfolio is at about 100% in terms of return.
Awesome.
The only regret that I have is I did not invest more. So when I actually could have. So had I probably done that, it would have been even more amazing an opportunity in terms of what could have potentially been. So yeah, that's what kind of piqued my interest with respect to the markets. And then I think the entire history behind as to why I got into this, right?
So just to give better context to the people who are watching this, just give us a brief introduction about who you were professionally in the past and what is the transformation that you went through here.
Okay. So if you have to define me in one sentence, it would probably be jack of all trades. I have actually worked across diverse industries in diverse capacities. I've worked in the software domain. I've worked in the infrastructure and construction and sustainability domain. I've worked in the manufacturing of electronics uh, domain at different capacities. I've worked with the IoT and Industry 4.0, niche tech space as well. And I've also worked in the telecom domain. And I've also worked in the ERP and e-commerce domain as well. But I think just like how we have psychological levels in the market, right? Like Bank Nifty is 50,000 right now, probably about 49,000 after today's run.
Yeah.
But just like we have psychological numbers, I think once I got to my 15th year of work, I think that bug started getting into my head, saying that how long am I actually going to keep doing this? And at what pace am I actually going to be in a position to continue with this? And the idea again was that putting in 16, 17, 18-hour days for a business, I would rather put 2-3 hours of that for myself and actually grow the money that I've already made, rather than chasing behind making new money as well. And I was looking to find avenues that can actually help me do that. And while I was evaluating, over a year, I felt that, I've been doing SIP investments, in mutual funds for quite some time now, for me and my wife and my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of seen the power of compounding there. So I thought, the markets are probably the right place to do it. And again, in markets, there are two types, right? You have trading as one aspect and you have investment as another aspect. Trading is something that can actually help you make money, earn money of sorts. Investment can actually help you compound and grow that money.
Yeah.
Okay? So I said, what if I'm able to do this parallelly? And, all these days I was actually doing it without any knowledge or any fundamentals whatsoever. Let me learn how to do this. And I was actually looking at, different avenues to learn, and people were throwing courses left, right, and center. And I was like, I was looking for somebody who would match my, academic vibe of sorts. And I think I bumped into you on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's where it started for me. And I don't think so. It's actually gone back in December 2022. So, yeah.
Awesome. What was that specific factor that helped you join, like make a decision, okay, this is where I want to join and start working on this?
Okay, so first and foremost, this thing is, again, just to complete the loop of the story that I was telling you, right? What is something that I can do when I'm 40? I'm 40 right now. What is something that I can do when I'm 40 and continue to do with, the same amount of effort when I'm 70? There is a physicality that is associated with it. There is, everything kind of grounds you, right? So there is a certain amount of mental maturity that goes with it. And I said, as you mature, what is that one thing that you can actually start doing better with knowledge? So, trading kind of fit the bill. I'm 70, I can actually sit in the comfort of my couch, and if I can actually do this very well, why not? So that was the idea. In addition to that, like I said, I was kind of looking to work with someone who actually has the same, what do you call it?
Aura.
Wavelength as me, and who actually has the patience to kind of, go through the grind with me and for me, I believe in getting my basics right in the first place. So if I am comfortable in doing that, so that was the second thing that I was looking for. And I think our first conversation was supposed to be for an hour. I think it went on about an hour and 45 minutes. And that kind of confirmed that, okay, I'm at the right place. So that's how it started for me.
Awesome. So once you took that leap, you might have some expectations in mind, and of course, reality hits. So how did it compare to what did you expect and your experience in reality?
Okay, so I came in with the mindset that I'm here for the long haul, right? I did not come in with, the greed that I want to make money quick. So I think that probably was the first biggest leveler for me, in the sense that if you come in with the right expectations and what you're learning actually enables you to get your expectations right and it matches, I think that's good enough, right? I mean, like I told you, I started April last year. We are at the end of May. It's 13 months. And I've made a 30% return on my capital so far.
That's good.
If I can make a 30% return on my capital, I don't know many asset classes which can actually give you that kind of a return today. Unless you are someone who had invested in gold long time back and you are actually a part of the current gold rally, right? So I basically am here for the long haul, and unless and until I don't do something stupid, I'm not going to lose my money, because that's hard earned as well. And so I think getting that expectation right with respect to what you are expecting out of the market is probably the first step in terms of heading in the right direction. So for me, it has always been the case. That's why a big drawdown, like the one which I showed you also, did not have an impact on me. To a large extent, generally what I have seen with people, at least, is people who have actually had the big drawdowns, right? Generally, they stay away from the market for quite some time.
Right.
But if you actually see my P&L report, I actually got into trading the very next day, because for me, I actually had this feeling that, hey, if I do not get into a trade the very next day after I book such a big loss, that fear factor is going to set into my head. And I did not want the fear factor to set into my head.
Right.
And again, the this thing is that my risk appetite also is pretty calculated. Right? My risk appetite was that until that point in time, I'd crossed close to about 2 lakhs with respect to returns. And what I lost was about 1.45 that day.
Overall.
So whatever money that went was not out of my capital. It actually went out of the profits.
Profits.
So I said, if that is the amount of money that I have to pay back to the market to learn a lesson from the market, I don't mind paying that money to the market just to ensure that I am in the right track. So I think setting your expectation right is the first step, and getting your mindset and your psychology aligned with respect to what your expectations are goes a long way.
Yeah. In terms of expectations versus reality, not just in terms of the markets, but in terms of your journey within the program.
I think it was in alignment with my expectation, and again, it also depends on the amount of effort that one puts in with respect to whatever is there to. I mean, like the age-old saying that goes, right? You can only take the horse to the water.
Correct.
Just because you have paid an expensive price for a horse, you cannot make the horse drink water, or you cannot drink water on behalf of the horse.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, I think it is extremely crucial to ensure that you put in the effort from your side, right? I mean, let me just quickly share my screen again.
Yeah.
And if at the age of, I was 39 when we started this, and if at the age of 36, if you actually see the amount of studies that I actually went through, right from first level all the way to this, and whatever we did as a part of toss and so on and so forth, right? So all of this
is like almost like the replication of whatever I created.
Yeah. So this is actually a paperback format of your digital course.
Correct.
And a little more, because there are certain the things that we kind of go through when we are having this one-on-one interaction, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but I actually remember this very, very well. When we were talking about identifying supports and resistance, then things went wrong. And again, going through the Q&A part of it, whatever is it that's done, and so on and so forth. All of these basically, so you put in the effort, you will see the result.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge that I at least see in today's day and age is, especially with the generation that is out there trading in the market, is thanks to a lot of these influencers and everybody. I think the concept of getting rich quick is something that has caught up, and people think that the stock market is the place to do that.
Unfortunately, it's not.
it's as good as putting your entire life earnings on roulette in a casino and hoping to hit the snake eyes, right? It probably happens to 1 and 1.3 million people in the first second. So you just need to ensure that you manage whatever your expectations are, and I think that will go a long way.
Yeah.
And I mean, so my learning so far has been that put in the hard yards, be humble. If the market is telling you that you're taking a loss today, respect the market and take that loss and stay away with it. Don't get into the habit of over trading and trying to compensate for that loss on the same day. Again, like I mentioned, right, this 1.4, 1.5, whatever you saw on the screen, it basically was a day when the market basically told me that I have to exit at minus 78. And I said, how can the market do this to me? So I said, let me take counter positions, and I took counter positions, and the market decided to reverse. So my counter positions added to another 75, 80 gain with respect to my losses. So if the market is trying to tell you something, listen to the market and learn to respect it. It is there. It is doing whatever it is doing for a reason. Again, a lot of people are actually, I mean, at least in my circle that I know of, are talking about zero or hero trades with the election results coming up. I mean, big time punting going on, right? But I said, was hero as zero? What is the point in doing it? What are you trying to prove to yourself or to whom?
Not anything to anybody.
Exactly. End of the day, it is your hard-earned money. I mean, I'm nobody to tell you how you should spend it or how you should lose it or how you should make or gamble with it. End of the day, why would you do something like that? Because that, again, whatever psychology you've built over time all these days, right? By
Everything will
doing
go.
something like this, everything will wipe out and you'll probably have to start from scratch again.
It's more than the numbers and the profits. It's about that psychological mindset that takes a dip, which takes a long amount of time and practice to get it back to normal.
Yeah, that is one. And I think two is that probably is the reason that the market also gets a very bad name, that it's actually for gamblers and people who actually, equate traders to gamblers. So.
Yeah. So, Hari, when it comes to the program content, I mean, like, you have created another set of program for yourself from the content.
Yeah, I think what we should do is probably, print that out and give that out as a booklet to somebody who joins new.
So, but I wanted to understand which part of the program or process of the program was the most valuable for you and why.
If I have to order it in the right way, I think the first part would be the psychology part of it. In the sense, it kind of teaches you a way in terms of how do you approach the program and how do you approach the market in itself. That's the most important aspect of it, firstly, for me. And the second most crucial part of it was, the initial equity part of it that we did before we got into options. I think that kind of gave a very fair understanding of a lot of these key concepts that you would follow when you start doing options trading, like multiple time frame analysis, choosing your entry time or entry point in terms of where is it that you actually want to choose it, and so on and so forth, right? So I think understanding the basics of candlesticks and the technical aspect of the analysis is the second most crucial part of it. And the third one for me probably would be the way it is kind of scaled up, right? You start, I mean, when I started trading with a capital of 986 rupees. I still remember the number.
And now you're trading rupees.
Now I'm trading with roughly about 24 lakhs.
Awesome.
So, 986 rupees and starting with just one quantity. When you see a loss of 3 rupees or 4 rupees on your screen, or when you see a profit of 3 rupees or 4 rupees on your screen, the profit doesn't give you as much elation, but the loss doesn't hurt you either. But as you scale up slowly, I still remember the last equity, this thing that I did, I think was with Tata Motors when it was trading at about 100 something. And, I said, boss, ye chota khel ke kuch nahi hone wala, let me do something big. And I actually took 500 quantity. But the stop loss margin was so less in that I hit my stop loss once. And I said, boss, in such a small stock, I actually made a 500 rupee loss. How is that possible? So, you kind of gradually get people eased in with respect to psychology of, getting used to seeing big numbers on the screen, both in terms of profit and both in terms of loss. And I think that's probably the third key factor in terms of differentiation. And I think between you and Ganesh being available in terms of, whenever there is a question that, comes up. I mean, I've known scenarios when we were doing tasks where there is somebody who's actually trading with some big capital and they're actually cooped up in their positions. They calling you and you sending them the Zoom link immediately, getting them, and and again, there the beauty is I've seen you actually tell them what needs to be done rather than taking control of the screen and doing it yourself, because that would actually teach them
how to
not to panic and how to do it. So these are certain minor aspects of the program that actually add a much larger value in a long run. In fact, something very funny happened with me today. So we actually entered one position at a much lower price, and at 255 that position reversed.
Okay.
I exited that position, And I said, I'll wait for it to confirm and then I'll re-enter. And I said, in this time, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to increase my hedge quantity and increase my quantity again, so that whatever I've lost in that, I'll kind of compensate. Because I knew the market was not touching 2200 today. So, but instead of doing that, what I actually did was I ended up buying 2200, which is the position that I exited at 1.3, and I squared off that position at 2.25. So I covered my loss there to a certain extent. But had it been a normal scenario, what I would have actually done is, oh God, why did I enter this position at this price? Let me exit it right away. But then I went to the chart and I looked at it. I was like, okay, it's a nice green candle that is in the making. Let me give it like 20 seconds. Let me see what happens. And you won't believe, I entered at 1455.56 and I exited at 1457.46, and I recovered all the loss that I had made in that position. And then I re-entered that position on the sell side again. So these are things which will come only with practice in terms of whatever happens.
Right.
And I think the hand holding with respect to that is something crucial in terms of what you guys do. So,
yeah. Right. I mean, it's a two-way thing, like you said. The more the other person is also able to put in the effort, the more even we can do. So yeah. But what are the most important skills or knowledge you would say that you gained from here?
Patience.
In what way?
Patience.
Can you elaborate on it?
See, if you have done your analysis right and all the work that needs to be done before getting into the position, and you've set your stop loss, even if the trend is going in the direction that is opposite to you, and unless and until that trend doesn't get confirmed or it doesn't hit your stop loss, you need to have the patience to wait it out. Because you calculate your stop loss and put it in a way that you do not lose more than a certain percentage of your capital on a daily basis. Okay? And it could be a simple spike. It might not have hit your stop loss and the trend might go back with respect to whatever analysis. But if you panic in front of your screen saying that, oh no, this has happened, and I'm going to exit my position, that basically will make you feel bad when the actual position goes in the direction that you have actually done the analysis for. Okay, so being patient with respect to whatever your analysis and whatever your reading has been is extremely, extremely crucial a skill to learn. And I think there are a lot of areas in life where you can actually apply that as a learning as well. Now, with respect to your regular day-to-day. And the second most important thing that I've learned personally is being humble. Honestly speaking, I think the market is a very, very great leveler. There are days when it will actually make you feel like you're screwed. Days that it will actually make you feel like you're a pauper on the street. And to a large extent, you oscillate between these two emotions. The idea is how much you don't allow yourself to go to either of these extremes and try to stay as much as in the middle as possible. So take the big losses that come in your stride and take the big profits that come in the stride as well. End of the day, the goal is not that I have to be profitable every day. End of the day, the goal is I have to be profitable in the longer run. And as long as that is clear in your mind and your loss or profit is in a controllable limit, I think it is good. In fact, I think a part of your course basically tells that if you actually have been on a losing streak or you have been on a winning streak, it's always good to take a break.
Correct.
And I have always ensured that I get my periodic offs from the market as well.
Yeah,
and on those days, I don't regret at all. I mean, no matter, even though I sit and do my analysis, I do paper trading on that day. The morning of that day, if I decide that I'm not going to trade in the market, I mean, again, for me, in principle, I'm not going to be trading from Friday this week till Wednesday next week. Because you never know, with 4th of June coming in, you never know what can happen and what can go wrong, and you never know what will the pulse of the market as well.
And we don't need that also, it's just
exactly. And for me, if you honestly ask me, the amount of stress that I put myself through by holding a position during that time is much, much higher than, the 10K or 12K or 15K that I'll make or I'll probably lose.
Correct. So instead, you could probably enjoy the time with your family because
Absolutely.
you resigned from your 9 to 5 also.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of, independence, right? You're like the classic example that I kind of show anybody because
I traded an OT last month, even though I promised that I would not. I was in Chennai, I was in Coimbatore, I was in my native village, for almost a month and a half. I just got back to Hyderabad on Monday, and I have been, trading and making my share of whatever I have to make from the market during the course of this time. So, if you actually see, I think I left on the 17th of April. 1, 2.
Yeah.
20 approximately.
That brings me to the most important question for why I'm doing all of this. Have you become more independent in your trading than you were before, and if yes, to what extent?
Oh yeah, I think I've largely become independent with respect to my trading. I think even not just now. I think probably even in May last year. If you remember, our toss sessions used to start at 11 in the morning. And I would have already entered my positions at 9:30, 9:35, and I'd actually sent you a nice screenshot on WhatsApp saying that, hey, this is what my analysis is and this is what I've entered.
Right.
And when you get onto the bridge and me, you, Steve, Ganesh, everybody is there, the first thing is, okay, where are your positions at? That's how we start. It's not like, okay, now let's plan and enter positions. Correct. I think that happened only during the first toss call. So I think right from that time, actually tried to be as independent as possible. And I think independent, of course, there are times, I bounce off certain ideas with you. There are certain strategies that I bounce off with you and Ganesh. And, I think the community also, there is a lot of good learnings that I've had from Steve during the initial days. During our discussions with Sharan, I've had some very, very good insights. Our discussions with Shiva, I've had some very, very good insights. And when I feel that the trend or the direction is not clear at a macro level, not at a day-to-day level in terms of what to do, what not to do, we actually hold this, should we actually not hold this? I think all of those basically, unless and until you don't feel independent and confident that you can actually talk the same language and talk at the same level as the person who actually mentored you, I don't think so you would be in a position to do that.
Correct. Yeah. So, with all of this experience that you have gone through and the present results, would you recommend our program to other traders? And of course, you already recommended friends who have also joining in. But why did you recommend? And if for other traders who are watching this video, would you recommend it and why?
Okay, so see, for me, I've recommended your program to about 2 or 3 of my friends already, and I think one guy has actually joined very recently into the program as well. But I believe in kind of putting one and one together where the alignment is there, right? It's supposed to be a marriage of equals.
Correct.
So there are people who have come to me saying that, यार मुझे stock market समझना है, मुझे stock market में पैसा बनाना है. The moment the conversation starts like that, I'm like, okay, I'm not talking about this guy to Pranav. Okay, and the other conversation that I had and the friend that I actually referred and who joined recently, I know his mindset and I know what he is after. And we are very, very good buddies, and I definitely felt that he could actually learn a lot in the way this program is structured and this program is there to offer. And again, if whatever I've said so far in our conversation, if that has not communicated to people in terms of what this program has to offer, I think we probably will have to do a much longer conversation in terms of going slide by slide. So I think from a psychological perspective and from an approach perspective, right? I think the way you have structured your program is probably uh, the best. I don't know what else to call it. It's probably the right way in which this whole sequence is set up, right? And again, the idea is that you are in it for the long haul. When you come in with that as a mindset, uh, I think it's people should worry more about the opportunity lost than anything else when they actually start looking at the markets. So, and if that is the case with the markets, then why would you not do that with somebody who's going to teach you how to navigate through those markets?
Right.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Like how Sachin and Dhoni say that mutual fund ad saying that mutual fund चाहिए आपको मैदान में उतरना पड़ेगा. अगर मैदान में उतरना है, you basically, I mean, especially how the market has actually been behaving since the beginning of this year, right? If somebody who doesn't understand how these markets operate and somebody who does not understand as to what to expect, and if your fundamentals are not strong, you would have probably given up by now.
Right. So I have like two burning questions that most people ask me. So
Okay.
First question is, when you're starting off with a smaller capital, and then eventually, like literally, we are not asking you to increase your capital ever, right? So only when you are like, okay, I'm confident now, we're going to increase it, that's when it's happening. So what is giving you that confidence? What gave you that confidence to increase your capital at every level of the program?
See, I did not do it personally, in one shot, right? So I started off with close to about 1,000 rupees, and the 1,000 became 10k, 10k became 25k, 25k became a lakh became about. I think when we started doing toss, I think that was the time when the lot sizes started going down, right? So the premium required was much lesser. So even at 2.5 lakhs, you could actually take 3 lots.
Correct.
In terms of trades. So a lakh became 2.5 lakhs, and when I started doing it with 2.5 lakhs, and I was actually able to see consistent returns, I was actually able to make it 5 lakhs. And I think I traded between 5 to about 8.5 lakhs for the longest time in between. So I mean, now I actually feel bad that had I increased my capital, to about 10 or 15 lakhs at that time itself, when I actually had the potential to do that, but I was not confident with my own skill.
No, that's okay, because that gave you the psychological foundational build.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, in hindsight, everybody is Aristotle, right? So, now I'm actually thinking, considering the fact that I crossed the 3L margin, I was like, gosh, had I topped off my capital at that time, market was much more peaceful. It was happily going sideways, or it was super bullish at that time. So there was hardly any bear trend that happened. So why did I not do that? Probably I would have been at about 4.5 lakhs today in terms of returns. But again, I'm like, again, going back to square one, I'm in it for the long haul. I know I'll make the 4.5 in the next 1-2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as that is set, you have to be comfortable with the numbers that you get to see on screen, right? So you have to be comfortable. And again, then I said, okay, let me scale it up, and I actually scaled it up all the way to 25 lakhs. But then I found out ways and means in terms of how to actually better utilize that capital rather than just keeping it in my trading account on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So I took out a decent chunk of money, and I actually put that into other mutual funds. Pledged that today has given me close to about 1.3% returns on top of what the market has given me so far.
Right.
And I've pledged that. That is safe capital, and that kind of is going to grow at a rate of about 6.5-7% year on year, which is as good as what your FD
inflation
gives you, and it covers inflation. And on top of that, that capital is what is earning me the 30-35% that I've made so far. Right? So I have no complaints whatsoever.
Right.
So capital increase is something that we know people who are actually trading with a few crores of rupees, a few tens of crores of rupees. And again, it is to each his own, right? In terms of what is it that you can actually afford to put in the market to ensure, and it has to match with your trading style as well. If, like I told you, if people are going to be doing the zero or hero thing on June 4th, and they're just willing to blow up their capital, then we can't do anything about it. We can only tell them not to do it, or we can probably ask them as to, boss, come back to your senses. But
Right.
beyond that, it's their call. So capital increase, I think it's to each his own. But I think from an options perspective, there is a certain amount of capital that would probably be required to see a decent return for the effort that you're putting in. And I think that probably is roughly at about, anywhere between 5.5 to 6 lakhs roughly. If you actually have to see a decent 4-digit return on your screen,
Correct.
that actually makes you feel that, okay, आज मैंने market में बैठ के कुछ किया है.
Yeah.
If you want to get that feel, then I think that probably is a decent capital to work.
Right. So this was first question. So let's say a beginner is coming in, or maybe somebody who's outside the program. If he wants to scale up his capital, what would be your 2 cents of how he should go about it?
First question that I will ask him is, do you have a trading journal?
Mm-hmm.
If you have it, please share it with us. Based on, the consistency that I see, and based on the entries that I see with respect to the position, I would definitely go back and, the charts don't lie. You can go back and look historical data of charts across. And depending on the position, the time of entry, the type of entry, the volume, I can definitely, gauge somebody's risk potential and risk appetite. And if that is consistent, then they know what they're doing. If that is not consistent, they're basically working on guesswork. So if you're someone who's trading in the markets on guesswork, saying that, okay, I will buy this option and let me see what happens, I don't care. My loss is limited. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. If you're somebody who's thinking from that perspective, then don't increase your capital. If you know what you're doing, then go ahead and increase it. I think for me, the first reference point, that's why, I take so much effort with respect to putting in my journal, right? If you actually, the market closed about an hour and 10 minutes before. If you actually see my journal today, I've already made updates of all the trades that I've taken today.
Today was your 1292nd trade?
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, so for the viewers, so when he came in, I had a tracker, but it was not up to the mark. So then he came in and he's a great expert on Excel. So he went ahead and kind of helped me with creating this new tracker that he's showing you. So yeah.
So for me, it kind of tells me what is it that I've actually made, this year. I also have a master sheet which kind of uses, I kind of keep experimenting with few strategies. So I basically have separate, because that helps me calculate my edge, right? In terms of how profitable am I with respect to that as a strategy. So if you essentially look at it, I've actually stopped using these two altogether.
Correct.
Because I don't see a good edge in any of these. Whereas if you actually see in my, iron contras and OTMs to a large extent are the same strategy for me. If it's one-sided, I mark it as OTMs. If it's on both sides, I mark it as iron contras. So,
okay.
And that actually has given me a fairly decent edge. So I'm going ahead only with OTM. So if you actually look at this entire month, I've actually traded only with this as a strategy. Not done any of the other strategies for this one.
And I can guarantee you, moving forward, you'll stick to just one thing that works, and you'll be
absolutely. And I think what is also equally important is how much you read, not with respect to newspapers or anything. I think the market has already factored in all the news that is there to factor in, unless and until something comes, in between a trading day that can actually tilt the scales in your favor or against you. I think all the other response that the market gives you, the news is already factored in. So currently, I am actually reading Banketab's, book.
Which one is that?
Super Trader.
Ah, okay.
So he is an NLP expert, and the kind of psychological insights that you get, it basically helps you up your game, right? You can actually start putting in metrics for yourself. Again, just to give you an example, right? I take notes even when I'm reading Kindle books. So there are certain questions that have actually been asked In fact, let me just share so that we made a note of here. He basically talks about uh, how to kind of identify if the market is in a super bullish trend or what kind of this thing, how much is the volatility with respect to the market, and certain basic questions. So for me, all these days I was actually thinking of myself as an individual trader, right? But now that my goal at a much larger level is to kind of make this my full-time thing, I am actually now beginning to look at this as a business. So I want to set certain targets for myself. I want to set certain benchmarks for myself, and I actually want to systemize. I want to make this a process for anything and everything.
Right.
So I'm kind of approaching it from that perspective, right? So for me, if I have to, and for the kind of, you have seen the kind of analysis that I do. So for me, for the kind of data points that I capture, if I'm able to effectively translate that into, my Excel macros, I think I'll probably be a much better trader over time. And so that's the game now, right? I've kind of understood the basics, and now I want to grow with whatever is the foundation that I've built. So I believe in reading a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I read a lot of books, and off late reading about the markets is probably one thing that I do. So
once you get hooked to it, I mean, it's difficult to come out of that streak of.
Yeah, I mean, see, it is addictive. I would not say no, but if you actually have the opportunity or the option that you can control your addiction, right? So there is a difference between going and playing roulette versus playing poker, right? In the casino. So, with poker, 85% of it is skill, 15% of it is probably luck. Whereas with roulette, you throw everything in the air. जो नीचे आता है मेरा जो ऊपर रह जाता है नहीं जो ऊपर रहता है वो मेरा जो नीचे आता था वो casino का. So that's what happens in roulette.
Right.
So it depends on how you look at it. So I think that's the difference between taking a known risk vis-a-vis just doing random unknown stuff.
Correct.
So upskilling is equally important. Learning is very, very important.
That is something that you can never stop.
And unlearning is even more important. So don't come with preconceived notions.
Correct. So second burning question is, again, most people who are coming in to learn about trading are at one level looking to become full-time traders or just making trading their main profession along with other income sources. So, and you have done that, right? So you've been doing that from last December. It's been almost like now 5-6 months since you've been doing this. So the question would be, what is it that ultimately took you to make this decision? That's number one. Second thing is, after you came out from your job and doing this full time, did you see any changes in psychology? How did that go?
See, I am able to go to bed peacefully, which is probably the most important thing for any human being. And I get quality time with my kids home. I think that's a very, very big boon with respect to what you can ask out of life. And especially with my kids' ages that being where it is, I think it's probably the right thing that has come to me at the right time. But in addition to whatever I'm doing with respect to the market, so the market basically operates only between 9:15 to 3:30. And considering whatever has been happening with the market, my trading window is now split into two. I trade between 9:30 in the morning till 11 in the morning. And between 11 till 2:30, I actually don't trade at all.
Right.
No matter what I feel about the position, no matter what I feel about the market, I don't trade in this. 2:30, I come back and look at my screen and will probably enter my positions again after 2:45. And the last shift that I make is between 3:05 to 3:10. After that, no matter how lucrative the opportunity looks, I don't make that shift. As long as I am within my target for the day. Unless and until it doesn't happen a case where last week Bank Nifty shot up 2% in one day. Unless and until something like that doesn't happen and I feel that, sky is the ceiling. On those days, yes, you can comfortably make your shift even at 320. Okay, the market gives you that opportunity. And on those days, you say thank you to the market and you accept whatever the gift the market is offering you and, book that additional profit that you can book. But outside of this kind of has given me opportunities to think about providing consulting services for other people. And I've already started doing something, with a couple of things. And my mind is literally so clear and so free right now that I'm actually thinking of additional business opportunities that I can actually get into. And I think with 24 hours being available in a day and 8 hours of that going for my sleep and 1 hour for my workout and my exercise, I think the remaining 15 to 16 hours that I have, 2.5 hours goes away for the market, 2.5 to 3 hours roughly. I still have a good solid 10 hours that I can devote to all the other pursuits that kind of interest me now. Respectful, I don't have to work.
Aquaponics and all of that.
Yeah. Aquaponics is one side. There are a couple of other interesting business ideas that we have been talking about for quite some time now, and I'm actually getting the bandwidth to kind of put a business plan to it to actually act on those as opportunities. Again, even there, the idea is, I believe strongly in the words that Simon Sinek says, infinite game, you basically build something that outlasts your lifetime. The idea is that. So, not in it for the money or not in it for, just profits. So, I would rather work on something that interests and excites me today and would continue to interest and excite me 20 years down the line.
Correct. Yeah. Market is one thing that will never bore you, but the other.
For me, this thing that keeps it interesting for me is the amount of data that you get, right? And data is something that always drives me crazy. As long as I see some numbers and some information on the screen and I can actually do some geography with that, trying to figure out something, that keeps me interested, that keeps me excited. So.
Awesome. So before we close this session, I have 2 questions maybe. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
First thing is, I think we never discussed about the community, but you are one of the highest active members in the community. So please shed some light on how the community has helped you and how the new platform that we have right now, what do you feel about it?
Oh, for me, I think the community has been a boon, in the sense, because on days when things have actually gone right, and somebody else has actually done something, the other side, I kind of analyze what did I do right and what went wrong with them. And, I have actually had the opportunity to, help a couple of people who have come into this thing as well with respect to, this is what I did and why did you think of it this way? It enables a conversation, right? So I think, and on days when I've actually gone horribly wrong, I actually see what others have done right and I actually take inputs from them. So it's actually been a great learning tool to start off with, and it's actually a lot of meaningful banter, I would say, that kept happening over WhatsApp, and I think now with school, it just has become a lot more refined and kind of natural, direction of things to take, right? Because the community is growing, and I think school enables us to do a lot more than just looking at P&L screenshots and so on and so forth. So,
correct. Awesome. So, do you have any other feedback or suggestions for people who are watching this, or for us?
So, if you are a gambler, thanks for watching this video. And unless and until you want to have a change of heart or a change of psychology, all the best with the markets. And if you're genuinely interested to understand how to go about trading and getting the basics right, looking at this as a long haul, this thing that will actually help you build a secondary source of income, and probably over time kind of make this your primary source of income as well, then you are in the right place. Just have a conversation with Pranav, have a conversation with Ganesh, and I think uh, these guys can guide you in the right direction and in the right path.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hari, for doing this with us.
Pleasure.
And we wish to see this 3L become 30L soon.
Yeah.
And, maybe
I think that's a part of the conversation that we had the other day, right?
Yeah.
Skipping a few zeros in between. So
correct. Thank you so much once again, and I wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. And
cool.
keep referring us
Thank you.
to people we can help them. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.